What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. Today, I'm with my friend Tracy. As I said, I'll bring one of my Padawans in here in a couple weeks, and I did. Hence the title of the episode today. So, thank you for joining me today, Tracy.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I love having both you and Nicole on, so that way you can get the the feel of both of you and everything, and how you guys just have been helping so much. And especially like your roles in the industry together and all that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody.
So we'll just go ahead and jump into the show. But before we do, I want to thank all my sponsors really quick. Monster House, where we're sitting right now here in the Edgar Allan Poe corner, as I call it. Of course, they have a bunch of different events going on here very soon. So if you guys want to check that out, come on down. I don't have the list in front of me, but I think Gina's going to grab it. So if you can do that right before I finish talking about this, it'll be great. So Gina's going to grab me the list. We have the list right here.
Yay.
So it looks like we're not there yet. Looks like August 16th is the nearest day. It's Julian one-man band. And then we have Toke and Tarot reading on August 18th.
Mm-hmm.
On August 24th, you have Bewitched Brushes and Blunts. So they're going to have a puff and paint.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be great. There's a bunch of other stuff going on too. I don't want to go down the whole list, but come check them out. Cinder Cannabis, thank you so much for your sponsorship too. You can find them here in Las Cruces, as well as Turquoise Bloom, my third sponsorship. So thank you all for your sponsorship and keeping the show going. Anyway, so I didn't want to keep you guys waiting that long. Sorry, but we at least got the list of the events going out of the way. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode now. So Tracy, thank you so much for joining me. I've known you for a few years now.
Yep.
Especially at our time at High Horse, and we'll get to that. But for those who don't know you, just meeting you, go ahead and give them an introduction.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Martinez. I really love the cannabis industry. But I'm originally from Texas, El Paso, Texas, to be exact. And I've been in the industry now for about 2 years, 2.5 years, more or less. Absolutely love it. Got my foot in the doorway with advocacy. In the process of joining the cannabis industry, little did I know I was going to be that involved, but y'all are stuck with me now.
Right? It's like, done fucked up now.
Yeah, done fucked up. But I absolutely enjoy it. I've found my calling, if you will, my passion. I've absolutely loved everything that we've experienced, that I've experienced hands-on. We've done indoor grow stuff. You've taught me a lot as well. Thank you for that, Chad. Still learning, definitely not easy, but learned a lot of cannabis education and just everything all around from, major sales, what is it? Can't think of it off the bat. When you go take everything to
wholesales.
Wholesales, there you go. Can't even think of it. I'm not even high yet, guys. We've done wholesales, we've done all sorts of different things, and I've just been able to dip my toes in just a little few areas, and I feel like I've done more than most people would do in their first 5 years of the industry, and I actually crammed that all into 2.5 years, and it's still going strong. So super excited.
Awesome. Yeah, and you have, you've done a lot. It took me a long time to do all the things I've done in the industry, and it's been through years. But luckily at that time everything was set up, and it was just like, all right, go. Throw in it, go.
Exactly. It's kind of like when your uncle throws you in the pool, vaya con Dios.
Here you go.
Exactly.
Have fun. We'll see if you make it.
Exactly. And I've been fortunate enough to have people like you in my corner to teach me, the ropes, and it's just been a good ride, The good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah, everything that comes in between it too.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, we started at High Horse together. When the legalization train came, and I was the first one to leave. Tracy, left I think a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
And we started connecting, and we're always connected, whatever. But we started connecting on the advocacy side afterwards. Especially last year, and that's where we really came in. We started doing this town hall thing, and I got her involved more with the advocacy because she had done such a great job. Her and Nicole did such a great job at High Horse. We got 24-hour sales, going, a bunch of other things too. So, it was great to see both of you start that journey and then also continue it even after you left, High Horse, and you just decided to go on your own essentially, and be your own advocate. Because, they don't really, I mean, it's cool they don't like try to force you to be an advocate at Dark Matter, but you know, they also don't tell you no.
Right.
You know, which is great.
Right.
You know, like, you know, that's good because we need advocates.
Right.
You know, and you know, like who wouldn't want to have one of the top advocates at their dispensary? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a notoriety thing too.
Yeah.
You know, so like it's kind of like, oh, okay, no brainer. But you know, advocacy, you know, everybody, I've said this before, in the industry is an advocate.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, like
absolutely.
as soon as you join as the industry, as a consumer or whatever, you're an advocate. You know, you signed up for it.
Game over.
Yeah, game over. It's just some of us embrace it a little bit more than others.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Yeah. So thank you again for, you know, for the intro and all that and telling us all about you. So where or when did you start using cannabis? I don't think I've even asked this question.
You
before.
have not.
I've never asked this question. So
That's
finding
crazy.
out together live.
Believe it or not, guys, I didn't start consuming until I was about 20.
Really?
Yeah. I was introduced to it prior, like a year or two prior, and I wasn't a fan. Honestly, I think it was like brickweed maybe or, you know, swag.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a fan. I tried it once and I was like, okay, not for me. And believe it or not, I was actually like straight edge for like the majority of my life. And then college happened and anxiety started to form, and I started noticing differences in my, you know, how I was feeling. And I just didn't really like how certain medications, and I, not to say that I was ever on medications, I know what I have. I didn't need to go to a doctor to tell me like, oh, you have anxiety. No, I knew I had it based off of when I was about to take a test and I literally forgot everything that I studied the week before, like little things, right? Little telltale signs. And I ended up giving it a second chance, thanks to a couple of friends that reintroduced me into some really good stuff. And after that, I just really liked the way I felt. It almost felt like I was normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was consuming consistently at the time. It was like more of a social thing. And even at that, I was still getting things like off the black market, you know? And it's kind of right. And it's kind of hard to trust what you're getting out there. That's the other thing. And, you know, I continued doing my thing. And then one time I got sold some CBD, which I knew it was CBD once it didn't hit, you know, and after that, I was just kind of like, I'm not going to do this anymore, you know, as far as getting from the streets. And well, eventually legalization happened and I was able to hit up a dispensary. As a matter of fact, I became a medical patient at the time when NugMD was like a thing. I don't know if everybody remembers NugMD, but I had gotten my medical patient stuff through them, and at the time it was super easy. I mean, there weren't like all these loops and bounds to like try to get your medical card. It was just as easy as like seeing a doctor, them talking to you, asking you about like, you know, hey, what are you feeling? Do you feel this XYZ? Okay, yeah, you pass. Here's your card. And then at the time, I believe it was Ultra Health that was like the only dispensary. It was the first dispensary in Sunland Park to open up, if I'm not mistaken, when legalization happened. And then they were doing reciprocals in the state. I don't know if they still are doing that, but that's what I went through. And at the time, I don't know if you remember Mike from Legalize EP.
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah, so they were the ones, and that's actually how I met Colt. And Colt helped me get my medical card and get me into the medical program, and that's when I was introduced to El Paso Normal. Yeah. And yeah, long story short, that's how it started.
So if you guys are confused,
backtrack.
she's from Texas, but at a time we had some weird laws that happened in New Mexico that on accident. They had it as any person can be in our medical cannabis program, and it wasn't a New Mexico resident. So for about 3 years, actually, there was a good point where a lot of out-of-state residents were medical cannabis patients in New Mexico, like actual New Mexico patients, not regular processing, like, you know, like it is now, which is no big deal. I mean, it's a pretty quick process. I'm sure you do it all the time.
So it's a different process now, and now you pay more money. You know, and so you could go like through Green Health Docs, and then you still have to.
Oh, you mean through Texas?
Yeah.
Okay, I meant someone already had their card.
Oh,
but yeah. But yeah, through Texas. I mean, please share that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, that are tuning in and they're watching, kind of figuring out like, well, I'm a Texas resident. Like, how do I get my card? As long as you go through Green Health Docs, I believe there's other websites, but you can call and set up your appointment. Usually they do everything telemedicine. They will ask you a handful of questions to see if you have any pre-existing conditions that you qualify to get your medical card with. And you're looking at anywhere between like $150 to almost like $350 to spend, and that's for, your doctor's appointment, to schedule it, to get the diagnosis, the prescription. Then you still have to place an order through Texas Original, which is literally the only dispensary in the state of Texas in Austin, in case you didn't know that.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
All the way in the capital, huh?
Yeah, literally. One of the only ones. But the catch is, in order for you to get your card, you have to place a minimum order of $200 worth of product. Before, it was like you could order one thing and then you'd get your, prescription and stuff and you could do it. They caught on to that because a lot of people were doing it. And so they will put the max or the minimum of $200. Once you get that order, then you call Green Health Docs back and you ask for a PDF copy of your actual prescription and the diagnosis and everything. They will ask more than likely, like, what is it for? And of course, like HIPAA law, you're not going to ask me none of that because, it's my health. You don't need to know. You always want to say it's just for medical records and that's it. Case closed. They can't say anything else. Don't ever say, oh, I'm going to reciprocal into the state of New Mexico, because then they're going to definitely make it harder for you.
Yeah.
So you do want to make sure... You want to make sure that you, communicate with them and let them know that you want that PDF copy of your prescription once you actually receive it. And you want to make sure to stay on the line, because a lot of those people are really infamous for just taking a screenshot and emailing it that way. And the state is very particular. No screenshots. It has to be a physical copy that they can go ahead and either fax over or scan into a computer so that they can go ahead and put it into the state system. Once that happens, then they'll go ahead and approve you. It takes more or less about a month for it to happen, but it's worth it. You don't pay your taxes and you get higher doses in the edibles, as you guys obviously know. And in case you didn't, there you go. The more you know.
So as I said, get your medical cannabis card. You don't pay taxes, guys. And that's not just for people from New Mexico. That's for a reciprocity patient from anywhere, even another country. Like you're from Germany and you have a medical cannabis card from Germany, we accept it here.
Yep.
We can just sign you up, whatever. I mean, what is the process to do that for a reciprocity patient?
So at least for that, from what I understand, you do need a valid state ID from where your medical card is at, the prescription, and the actual document that says that you are a medical patient. That way we can scan it into the system. And the good thing is at Dark Matter, we reciprocal patients. So if you guys want to reciprocal into the state, come on over, pay us a visit. We'll get you in. If for whatever reason you guys get a kickback, because it does happen sometimes, unfortunately, we on our end cannot see what that kickback is. We can try to put you back in, but there's a chance that you'll get kicked back again. So it's better for you to call the state and say, hey, well, what's going on? I got my card. What is it that I'm missing? Sometimes it could be someone's fat finger that just put an extra number or, whatever it may be, but they have access to all of that. So you can go ahead and reach out and see what it is exactly. So that way you don't get that kickback again.
Yeah. And, New Mexico has a really great reciprocity program. It's free. You don't pay any extra. You don't pay taxes. When I know some of you that have watched the episode after I came back from Hawaii and told you guys how it went. I had to pay $50 before I went there.
Dude.
Yeah. I was like,
so crazy.
What?
So crazy.
Yeah. I was like, I had to pay $50 and it was only good for a month. Yeah. And I was like, then I got to pay another $50.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. One thing I did really love is they have a 14-day rolling period for adequate supply.
Oh,
so
cool.
I think it's like 4 ounces, but every 14 days you get another 4 ounces.
Oh, wow.
Instead of New Mexico rolling 90 days.
Yeah,
and you get the 8 ounces, but
or
it's 90 days that you have to wait for it to roll over to the next.
That's right.
Yeah. So, we have a 90-day rolling. They have a 14-day rolling. I was like, that's great. I mean, I wish we did something like that. A month, maybe. That 90-day period is kind of ridiculous. And I kind of feel like, a little archaic. Like from a time where it was, different.
Yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned Dark Matter. You work there now.
Yes.
That's amazing. I've known that this whole time, but still, congratulations.
Thank
because
you.
One thing I want to highlight is you got Best Budtender at the
Thank
Essies
you,
this past
yes.
February was it?
Yes,
Yes,
it was in
this past February. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, and what was the exact title of that? I know it's Best Budtender, but there was some other crap behind it.
Oh yeah, Best Budtender in the state of New Mexico for the year of 2023-2024. So.
And it was something with something shops or something with it too? Or
3 stores or less.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I added that in there. The people that are really particular.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. You deserve it.
Thank
you know,
you.
100%. You know, I was told by the person who ran it that all of us in the categories that won Essies, you know, from our group, we won so exponentially high that he stopped counting.
I remember he had said that, and I
Yeah.
was kind of in shock. And I believe he even said that a lot of the majority of the vote came from Texas. For
Yes.
us.
Yeah, he told me that too. And he was like, I was surprised because most of your guys' votes came from Texas. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. You know, we're so close to it and we work so much with the Texans that it bleeds into there so much. Because I look at my stats and data sometimes, and Texas is like number 2 or 3, you know, in my views and people that, you know, view my stuff. So, I mean, El Paso's right there. So it just makes sense. You know, like I'm from the area. So yeah, that was really shocking to hear, you know, the Texans really came out for us. You know, that was what?
Honestly, it makes me feel good, to be honest. Just coming from a state where it's illegal, you know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
And you know, it kind of, it's a step in the right direction, right? Like at least there's open-mindedness beginning, right? It's not to say that it's already here.
Yeah.
We're working on it, but the fact that it's already happening, it just feels really good to know that like our hard work is like really working.
It really is. You know, it's rewarding.
Yes,
you know?
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's super rewarding, and it's crazy because I actually went to go get my oil changed a couple weeks ago. Side note, and this is like on the far east side of El Paso.
Yeah.
I got recognized by the guy that was changing my oil. He's
Really?
like, "Aren't you like the best budtender in the state of New Mexico?" And I was like, "How did you know that?" And he's like, "You look so familiar. You work at Dark Matter, this and that." He like knew everything, which was really cool. So again, going back to the same thing, our work is really making. It feels very rewarding, but it's making movements, you know, and we're making waves in the industry, both in New Mexico, but also in that little tip of Texas, little El Paso, you know?
That little, just that little forgotten about part in Texas that, you know, the rest of the state doesn't even know exists sometimes.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. But, you know, at least you guys are there. You know, I had an instructor when I was in the Army, and when he found out where I was from, he told me he was from El Paso originally. And this is the first time I heard it. I don't know why I didn't hear it before. He said, yeah, we're the bastard children of Texas. And I was like, holy shit's right.
The ugly redheaded stepchild, if you will.
Yeah, I just started laughing. I was like, wow, you're so right.
Not wrong.
Right, I was only 21 at the time, so I was still really young. And I was having, you know, I just left New Mexico for the first time, you know, and yeah, I was like having all these realizations. I was like, oh my God, you're so right.
Like the awakening, you know?
Right, I was like, whoa. But it's true. And it's great that, you know, you guys, you know, will band together with us when the time comes. I get it. There's still a little animosity with the Texas, New Mexico thing. But, you know, a lot of times we forget the El Pasoans because we're so close to each other. You know, we have to support each other. We have no choice. We're both so far apart from our capitals that we have to rely on each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like we're 4 hours from our capital. How far are you guys? Is it 8 or 9?
I think it's 9, if
9?
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it's double what we are from it, you know? So yeah, you know, our capitals are so far that we have no choice but to really rely on each other, you know? And even Juarez, you know, they're so far from their capital that they have to rely on us here too. It's like a little trifecta thing going on.
And believe it or not, we do get a lot of patients from Juarez that come in too.
Really? Patients?
A lot. Yeah.
No shit.
Patients. Yeah.
I was always wondering that, but no one could really give me the statistics, but you being a bud tender, you would know that, of
we
course.
have a lot of our clientele, and I will say, I refer to our patients as patients. It doesn't matter if you're rec or medical. In my eyes, it's all medical use.
Cool. I love that.
So I call everyone a patient, and it's kind of funny because people come in and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're a patient. You're here to get your medicine, dude. Let me help you out.
Yeah,
you know?
we're all medicated regardless of use.
Yeah, so it's really cool that it's also in Juarez that people are coming out and getting medicine over here, you know, considering everything that's happening over there and still continues to happen, you know. And I actually had a coworker that was working for us that is from Juarez, or that was from Juarez, and she actually was asking, like, do you think that it could be legalized in Mexico?
I think so. I mean, it should be already. I mean, the Supreme Court in Mexico already ruled that, you know, cannabis being illegal is against their constitution. So, I mean, it's just a matter of bureaucracy and government bullshit doing its thing.
But that we all know a little bit crooked of the government. You know,
a little bit more than the U.S.
Yeah,
a little bit.
So it's like it was kind of one of those conversations where it was like, well, I mean, it can be a yes, but it's like, you know, the government is not necessarily one of the best ones, and you know, some people get bought off, and you know, things happen, and So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we will. But for the time being, you know, come on down to Sunland Park.
Come on over to Dark
Come
Matter.
down. Yeah, you know, that's great that, you know, the people, you know, in Juarez and, you know, the local areas of Mexico can come over and enjoy that, you know. It's relieving, and I just wish that there was more consumption lounges in
dude.
Sunland Park that would, you know, give them a safer place to use it, possibly store it.
Yeah.
You know, because that was the idea that we had, and I've kicked the dead horse with this many times. You know, we had when we came up with consumption lounges was anywhere, everywhere, and to have storage lockers for the patients that can't take it home.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Essentially, people want a safe space. If there's so many bars out there, and you hear people dying on a daily basis from car accidents and people not knowing how to act, you know, for example, High Times, right? We went to High Times. I know we weren't supposed to consume in there, but people were doing it anyway. But were there any issues?
No.
Not
the only
one.
issues came from you can't smoke that in here.
Yeah. And that was like towards the end of the night when
Yeah.
people were like, okay, it's too much in here. You know, like you guys got to cut it
Yeah,
out.
it got to a point where I was walking around with the joint and no one said shit to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was.
My point being is that you can be violently high and not be violent is what I'm saying. You know, like there's a way to conduct yourself, if you will. And so I feel like at least with a consumption lounge, it's a safe space for us. You know, we have people that are first timers that I don't know how to do this, you know, like how do I do this? This is where your bud tender in a consumption lounge can actually show you, break it down, you know, and this is a great opportunity to give education.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great opportunities throughout the day to educate people, and sometimes we miss it. You know, we see it as a time to tease or make fun. You know, now if that person's attacking you, by all means, you know, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to help you. Yeah.
Let me get my manager.
Yeah, I was like, let me get out of here. You're attacking me already. I don't need to be here. And speaking of, you know, do you enjoy being a bud tender?
I do actually. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a people person. I love people, and I know we all have our days, right?
Yeah.
Some days are harder than others, but I can say that I've had people come in, and sometimes they kind of like trauma load on you a little bit, and it's like that person needed that today, you know. And I always, when I go in, I try to make sure that whatever I'm going on, or what's going on with me, or what I'm going through in that moment, stays outside that door. Don't bring it in. You know, I know people come in and it's their, like we said, of their first time. You know, it takes a lot for people sometimes to muster up the courage to go into a place for the first time, especially dark matter, where there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's something for everybody, and you want to make somebody comfortable. And I really love that I'm a bud tender that can offer that, at least somewhat of a safe space there. And you may not be able to consume there, although I wish we could. But at least I can guide you in the right direction.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. And that's what the bud tender is essentially there for, you know, to guide in the right direction, to sell you what you want and need, not just, you know, the cheapest, you know, the highest THC. We'll get to that later.
Oh, God.
We'll get to that later. Don't you worry.
My eye twitch.
Yeah, me too. Every time I say it. But yeah, you know, every time I go to Dark Matter, I try to go and visit you, make sure that, you know, I see you as the bud tender as well. And you always do such an amazing job. You know, you're so, you know, knowledgeable, you're so talented, you know, the people person thing, you know, and, you know, just being able to articulate some of the things that you say to people, you know, the way you break it down Barney style. That's the way, you know, what I like saying it.
Literally the best way to explain it, like I'm 5 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Break it down Barney style. That's the best way to do it and to go about it. I just hope that, you know, where you work realizes your other skills too, that you have, that you bring, because, you know, it's not just being a bud tender and doing that. You bring so much more to the table. So I hope they recognize that, and any place that has you, they're doing great.
Thank you,
because,
Chad.
You know, it's an honor to have you there.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. I will say they have been super supportive of me. They've all been in my corner, and I will say that it's literally one of the best places I've ever worked at. And that's awesome. And you and I know we come from the Buffalo Wild Wings family over here. You know, but literally one of the best jobs, you know, and it's really a beautiful thing when you have a company that cares about its employees. And they show it every day. You know, they show a lot of appreciation and they support you. I mean, I got people higher ups that are like, hey, when's the next soul trip meeting? Or, hey, when's this going on? Like, when's the next advocacy meeting? Are you going to have a town hall? Like, what's going on? And so they're very involved, but they also support a lot of what we do and they encourage it, you know. And
that's great. You know, like, it's not forced, it's natural. You know, if you want to do that, hell yeah. You know?
Oh yeah, high five, brother. You
Yeah,
know,
cool.
like yeah,
Appreciate it. You know?
yeah, and it's really cool to see them in person in a lot of the town halls,
Mhm.
or like tune in to the live and you see their little name pop up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you support me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's talk about the town halls a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, I want to do this with all the, all the ladies I have, with the town hall with me, and you, Karina, Val, Nicole, and now you. Val's going to be a little bit later this year.
Yeah.
I have her on. It'll be great.
Shout out, Val.
Shout out to Val. She's always watching these.
Yeah.
So she'll see this. But yeah, let's talk about the town halls. It was something that, me and Val came together on as a consensus of what needed to happen. But we came to all of you with the idea to join us on this journey. And I am more than glad that I chose the group that I did. Because, you ladies are just doing a fantastic job. And you guys are about it. You're down. Like we've gone to some of the shittiest parts of New Mexico.
So crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. We've stayed in haunted houses.
I still say someone lived in that basement.
Oh, dude,
That
there
is
has to
so
be.
crazy.
There's like a one-eyed person in there or something, like a cyclops. It's weird. But yeah, great times. We met some great people. What was your favorite place we've gone to?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah. So Carlsbad, because we got to see David. We love David. Shout out David Hill. We love you, dude.
Right.
And that was one of my favorites for sure. But hands down, Albuquerque, I did not realize how much love we had.
Yeah.
That was one of those pinnacle moments where it was like, wow, this is working. Like people want to hear us out and they want to put the input. All it took was for someone to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Sunland Park, because that was our baby. That was what started it off. And I think that was what started the tight-knit group.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a little sloppy at first, but that I think trial and error, right? And after that, it was like smooth sailing.
Yeah.
We worked out whatever we needed to as far as like, hey, okay, this is what we're planning here. This is what we're going to talk about. The time frames, like, okay, we figured it out, and now we've got like this functioning thing.
Yeah.
And now people are like, hey, when are you coming to our town? When are you coming to our city? So yeah, definitely really enjoyed both Sunland Park and Albuquerque. Shout out to all the Albuquerque peeps and Sunland Park peeps. We love you guys. Thanks for accepting us.
Yeah. Coming to our meeting and giving the input that you needed. Yeah. If you guys have never been to the town halls, I actually don't lead them. I have Tracy and Nicole lead them, and it's been like that since the very first town hall we did here in Las Cruces, which was another great one that we did. It was still summer, so it was still warm. It was still nice outside.
Las Cruces was a fun one too.
Yes, that was a fun one. That was a great one. That was our very, very first one. But the Sunland Park really kind of got the ball rolling for us more. They just got more of the community involved, especially down there, because it's a total different industry down in Sunland Park than it is in Cruces, than it is in Albuquerque. And the data proves it. The data shows it. Like I've been sharing, I think it's Bill, I don't want to say his name wrong, but Bill on LinkedIn, he goes in and dives in and does this whole analytical data thing with all the numbers that I would probably mess up. And, he just does a great job. And like, it just confirms everything that we've been saying is really what it does. Because Sunland Park is the healthiest market in the state right now. And
it's popping, dude.
Yeah,
it's popping.
The most unhealthy ones is Cruces and Albuquerque. Unfortunately, due to the numbers. But, that's why we're doing these town halls too, to figure out what's working, what's not working, what needs to change, what needs to be added. There's a bunch of things that needs to be added. For one that, I'm going to kick until the horse's ashes is going to be, adding some route where we can sell and consume at events.
Yeah.
Like that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
Because consuming is going to happen regardless. Just give us the legal route to do it. And don't give us so much red tape that it's not going to be worth it. I mean, if you go to a wine festival anywhere in New Mexico, I've looked at those forms online. The only thing they make sure is you put your license number on there. That's it.
That's it.
That's all. That's the only requirement.
Yeah.
And you're just over there pouring freaking fountains.
How is it so easy? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. It's like so discriminatory, and we have so many issues from alcohol. And I get it. They're trying to ensure that we don't have the same issues with cannabis, but cannabis is something totally different than alcohol. And that's one thing I think that they're forgetting is that they don't work the same way, like at all.
Well, and then they categorize a lot of the laws under alcohol. That's the other thing. And we're trying to make that change too.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And we got off the topic of town halls because I really want to get your input and give people an idea. What did you pick up from this? Like, what did you learn yourself, from doing the town halls? Because I've learned a lot.
Honestly, a lot as well. Like, I didn't know, like, everything behind the scenes. Like I did to an extent, but that day that we got into Albuquerque, I believe, when we got the agricultural people, farmers to come in, that was the first time we had that. And we needed that.
Yes, we did.
Those are the people that we need at those meetings because they're the ones that are hands-on, knee deep in it, you know? And so hearing them out and the issues that they've had testing, dude, testing is so wild to me. I mean, of course, we're going to push like the pesticide testing and everything, but everything that I've learned as far as that and just like the laws that need to change and just, you know, trying to be more involved. And I feel like our government in general is not as educated as they need to be, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so a lot of it, that's where the alcohol laws come into place, where they just were kind of like, cannabis, alcohol, sure. Same law,
whatever, same shit.
You know?
Yeah.
And so learning that other people are in agreement, right? And I should also say that we start off our town halls by saying that it's neutral ground. Yep. This is a safe space for you. We may not always agree, but we want to hear your opinions. Let's be kind to each other, hear each other out and your reasoning and what it is that needs to be fixed, or in your opinion, what should be added, or, you know, whatever it may be.
And we write it down. We write everything down. You know, we go in there in an unbiased, whatever, you know, we allow you guys to say what you want and need. Now, we will give caveats of like this and this historically, or the legislature, this and this. So that way you guys get an idea of maybe you're going to propose something, but, oh, okay, I can't propose it that way because they already tried it and it didn't work. Maybe we need to go a different route. Mm-hmm. Just so that way you guys saves everybody time. Mm-hmm. You know, like we don't need everybody repeating themselves over and over. Another thing I do want to mention that we do is we ensure that if there are any lobbyists there, that they introduce themselves and who they're lobbyists for, et cetera, et cetera. It's just fair. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the very first meeting we had a lobbyist there who didn't do that. Mm. So from then on, I had to announce it, and they're really good about it. You know, we usually have a couple lobbyists there, and they will say, I'm a lobbyist for so-and-so, blah, 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 which is great. And people have actually thanked us for that. You know what? And it's the lobbyists that tell me, thank you for that. You know, I'm so glad you made me do that.
We just want to have we have your back.
It's like, I'm so glad you did that. Thank you. Thank you for the transparency. I'm like, a lobbyist just thanked me for transparency?
What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm like, that's weird.
Well, that's foreign.
I was like, something new every day.
Yeah, but it's been really cool to see the support we've got.
Yes.
I mean, from down to the senator, and like people that have come and support us. People in city council. I mean, it's been a beautiful journey. I'm learning, and I've learned, and I'm continuing to learn more. And I just I'm hopeful to see what the future holds for us.
Yeah, me too. You know, I'm excited because it's a journey, and we're continuing it on. We're going to be in Farmington sometime here soon. Yeah. We're going to be meeting soon to get those dates knocked out and exactly what, where, get the logistics talked out, of course, and everything. I'm excited to go to Farmington. I don't know about you. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see how that market is working because they're in a four-corner area. Mm-hmm. You know, they're next to Colorado that's had, legal cannabis for a very long time. Mm-hmm. They're next to Utah that has just medical. And then they're next to Arizona that legalized around the same time as us. Right. Their rollout was quick, a lot faster and smoother than ours. Yeah. I don't know the quality. I don't know anything else. I just know that's the case. Right. So it's interesting to me because they're in a border area, but their border area is already spoken for in most areas. Mm-hmm. So what they're going to get is the residents that live too far from their own respective area. Like, the people who live on the Navajo Nation that live on the Arizona side that are too far from the dispensary. Mm-hmm. They're most likely going to go to Farmington, and pick their stuff up, or Durango. Right. Or somewhere like that. I mean, my brother makes cider in Durango, so that's how I know the area so much. I mean, we travel up there a lot. We don't stay in Farmington; we just drive through. Okay. But we stay in Durango and those areas a lot. So it is an interesting area, and that's why I'm really curious to see how the businesses are doing. Because all the times that I've gone there, we didn't have legal cannabis, right? And so now that we do, I'm like, all right, I'm curious to see how you guys are doing and how it is up here. How's your growing environment? Like how are the laws affecting you here? Is the Four Corner region good? Y'all good?
Y'all good? Y'all good? Yeah. It'd be cool to see what the demographic is, right? Yeah. Like we got to figure out and it's crazy because everywhere we've gone, it's kind of the same consensus for a lot of things.
Yeah, true.
One of them being BioTrack. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Wow, we're all on the same page about BioTrack, and there's a lot of agreement in a lot of areas. And one of the main things is getting that law changed in certain areas and, just little things from BioTrack and you know, the agricultural side. I'm hoping we get some more agricultural people up there.
Oh,
That
me
would be
too.
really
That would be
cool.
awesome.
If you guys are
Please.
watching this, please come out. We'd
Yeah.
love to have you guys out and hear what you have to say. We need more of those voices out there.
We do this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing
No,
this for you.
really.
Yeah.
We're just getting the ball rolling, you know.
Yeah.
That's about it. So
Yeah, and you know, hopefully come this next legislative session, if you guys don't know, in New Mexico we have the 30 and 60-day session. This next session will be the 60-day session. We can get some really great things added to the program, because this last session, that was a 30-day session, we really only got some policing things done through the CTD. We didn't get the taxes updated, because next year it goes from 12 to 13%.
that's right. Every year, right? It's supposed to
And
go
then
up.
every year after that, until it gets to, I believe, 18%, which is a lot, because total it's going to be almost 30% in taxes. And right now we're at a threshold at 20%, where it's like, okay, we're kind of, it's a little high, you know, like, you know, that kind of sucks. If we go any higher, it's going to go back. Yeah, like we're going to see an uptick of traditional market come back. And that's going to be the unfortunate thing. So hopefully we can get that changed. Luckily, we have another year to fix it.
Yeah.
I was mistaken at one point. I was under the understanding that they went off of the fiscal year, but we spoke with the state and everything, and come and find out the law specified a specific date and not the fiscal year. So it's just a little confusing, because fiscal years work in quarters and they're not in real months, and governments work in fiscal years. But the way the law was written was an actual date, not a fiscal year. So the state clarified that. And if it changes, it changes. You know, the state is always changing crap, and they'll tell us that they read the law a certain way, so it's this now. And we're like, okay.
Well, and let's talk about verbiage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Verbiage, very important.
Yeah. We know firsthand.
Yeah, we know it's very important verbiage. Yeah, so. But yeah, you know, I'm glad that you've joined me on this, you know, town hall experience, dude. And I couldn't ask for a better team. You know, like y'all have been amazing. And those of you that come and support us at every town hall, thank you so much too. Because, you know, there's some that show up to every meeting. Josh, he's been to every town hall.
Yeah.
I think Bee's been to most of them too. I think she even went to Hobbs.
Yes.
Was it Hobbs she went to? Yeah. And so she went to Hobbs with us. I mean, Hobbs is out there. You know, we drove to the Permian Basin, all the freaking oil pumps and jacks.
The smells. Oh my God.
Smell alone was just,
yeah,
it was just unbearable. And driving to Eastern New Mexico isn't fun anyway. You know, not to start with, especially when you got Texas tax.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, and weed's legal in New Mexico, but at the same time, you don't want to get harassed. You know, like no one wants to get harassed or whatever. But yeah, so, you know, to wrap up the conversation on the town halls, what are some things you hope to learn with what the ones we're doing throughout the rest of the year?
Man, just everybody's experience. Everyone's is different.
Yes.
And it's really cool to learn what their experience has been, whether it's good or bad, right? Because this is the time where we write all this stuff out and we narrow it down, send it off, and let them know, like, look, this is what needs to change. This is what needs to get done. Why? Because this is going to better our program.
Yeah.
Just like getting medical patients to sign up to be, or, you know, New Mexico residents, I'm sorry, to sign up to be a medical patient, that type of thing. You know, the more that the government sees that we're involved, the more they're going to take us serious. Yeah. So I'm excited to see more people come out and just let us know what your experiences have been, whether they're good or they're bad. If you want changes to happen, closed mouths don't get fed.
No,
we've been saying that.
Yes, 100%.
And so we need to make sure that we speak our voices. We have those voices for a reason. We need to yell from the mountaintops and let them know, you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see what these experiences hold, and, you know, hopefully we can make some really big change. Yeah,
me too. I hope so too. You know, if you guys didn't know, some of the stuff that we worked on last year actually got put into law this year.
Yeah, it did.
So, you know, your direct suggestions go into law, and it doesn't matter. You know, we try to keep this as public as possible. You know, we do try to ensure that not all the data is out right away, because we want to make sure we can consolidate it correctly and write it down correctly.
Yep.
So we want to make sure you guys have accurate data. But yeah, you know, it's great that people have been showing out, you know, and I just hope that Farmington will have a really great attendance, you know, so we'll work on it and, you know, do some more reaching out and everything over there, because, you know, Farmington's an interesting area, and I do want to check it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird but cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, you know, that four-corner region, the only part in the nation where it's, you know, 4 states like that.
And I've never been, so I'm kind of excited to see what it's all about, right? Yeah. Like, we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Right? Every city is different.
Yeah, definitely 100%, especially here in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Sunland Park, you know, like, you know, specifically. I know we already have a little bit. How crazy is it working in Sunland Park because I haven't had, you know, like a Sunland Park budtender on the show. You know, like Nicole works down there, but you know, she doesn't bud tend.
Right.
So like how crazy is it for you?
It is crazy. I mean, we got our days. I mean, some days I clock in, I blink, and the shift is over. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's so busy. It's, I mean, we've got all sorts of different dispensaries in that area alone where dark matter is. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's like 10 or 13 in that one little area alone. That's not including whatever's on McNutt Road, plus whatever's in Santa Teresa, which is like a hop, a skip, and a step away.
And then Anthony on top.
Yeah, and then Anthony on top of that. But Sunland Park, I mean, it's super saturated.
Yeah.
And that goes without saying, you know, and then Cookies just opened up.
Yeah. And their sales were ridiculous for the 2 weeks that they were open for last month. Holy crap.
I reposted that. I was like, what? But we didn't take the hit off that.
Yeah.
We were still busy, dude. Yeah. And people come in and they're like, oh, your competition Cookies, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. You know? And people will ask, well, what do you think? Has business gone down? Like, not at all. It's been the same. And it's pretty crazy, dude. People in and out. And I mean, we've got daily specials every day. And I think that's what people take advantage of as well. Yeah, it's just super busy. It's kind of hard to not say that it's busy, you know what I mean? It's always busy. We have people in and out. Our curbside has seen more of an intake of patients as well. And it's like one little hallway with 3 registers. That's our curbside. And now we used to have 1 scheduled to be back there. Now we have to have 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because
it's so packed, dude. Because if the store is packed, some people don't want to go in there. So they have the option of placing the order online. And what's really cool is like, we'll hold it all day. And then you can come at whatever time before 11, obviously, to pick up your stuff. And then, you know, people will place it in the morning because sometimes we run out of stuff so quick. It's crazy. We'll put ounces on the shelf and the next thing you know, 2 days later, I don't have anything. Or sometimes that same day, I don't have anything either. They're like, I just saw it on the menu. I'm like, okay, it might have been on the menu, but somebody came in an hour ago and took it, you know? So I highly recommend people to do like an online order if they're trying to save something that they know flies off the shelves and stuff.
And then you got the travelers, you know, you got the people from Texas that come from very far to come and, you know, max out how much they can get. So, you know, those ones are just taking chunks out of the inventory at one time. So
crazy. We get a lot of people. You'd be so surprised some of the people we see that come in through those doors, man. I see some 90-year-old patients come in and they're like, give me your strongest edible, you know.
It was like 500 milligrams.
Say less, you know. You know, and I actually, that's what I wanted to tell you. I had someone from Juarez that's staying in Juarez whose parents are Colombian, brought them into the shop to see me specifically to like show them around. And he was basically, and of course, no language barrier, right? I mean, I speak Spanish, but I kind of had to break it down a little bit because they speak different. But he basically like translated everything to his parents for me. And I gave them the tour around the store and I told them, you know, it's still stigmatized out there, but this is our normal.
Yeah.
You're like at a clinic here. Yeah. You're here to pick up your medicine. And his mother went on to tell me, you know, it's just so crazy. It's mind boggling to me because in our country, people die over this. So it's really crazy to hear things like that. And she couldn't believe it. A store where you could come in and get cannabis like nothing, you know, and she was in complete awe of it. And I just told her, you know, this is our everyday thing. We do this all the time. This is what we choose. It's our alternative medicine. And we're trying to destigmatize that. And we want you to have a good experience. So I don't mind giving you this conversation about how this happened or, you know, this is our shop. Like there's 27 other ones down the road. Like, I'm glad you came into our store so I could at least give you a little tidbit of what we've got here, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, it's crazy how many shops are there. You know, there's only like 18,000 people in Sunland Park. So, you know, what it tells you is majority of them are coming from out of state, out of country.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Because the amount of sales, if you guys don't know, I mean, Dark Matter themselves makes over $1 million a month. Cookies made over $250,000 in 2 weeks. I'm not sure. I mean, I think Old Gods made like 90,000 right across the street from there. I haven't looked at the other ones. I think Everest, the last time I looked, they were at, I think, 70 or 80,000. And then, you know, you have the areas where it's crazy, where OSO and PVP is. There's another dispensary right there, 1010. There's 3 of them right next to each other. Boom, right, bam, bam, bam. You know, so you have just so much saturation there. However, to me, it kind of works because, I mean, you have almost 1 million people in El Paso, you know, and a lot of those people want to smoke weed, you know, and then you have over 3 million people over in Juarez, you know, and so a lot of those people want to smoke weed too, and they come over here on a regular basis to go shopping, et cetera, et cetera. You know, they're over here anyway. So they're like, I'm just going to grab some weed.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I'm sure you see it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time, you know. It's really common here to see that. And like just Sunland Park, it's a different animal. And I tell you guys this all the time. If you have a chance, if you live in Albuquerque, you know, Roswell, whatever, go to Sunland Park.
Come check us out.
Check it out. It's crazy. And now let's talk about this because more things are being added. There's more construction all the time, you know, things being fixed, things being added in Sunland, which is great. They deserve it. They need it. So the way that they're going to keep the Texans there is to have something cool, something original, something fun, and that's going to be Independence City.
Yep.
And there was an update today that I got from the a news article, and it looks like it's still going. They're still going to do it. It's going to have, you know, places for concerts, places for events. They're going to have, you know, adult stuff like, you know, bars or a bar, and they're going to have a cannabis dispensary. So that's going to be cool because not everywhere that you go, like a place like that, can you go and get cannabis, you know, on the side of, you know, go and do other adult-like things.
Right.
And especially here in southern New Mexico. And I was reading the article. One good point that they made is they said that they wanted this venue for local artists. And I was like, why? You know, and I wasn't thinking of it. They said there's not a very large venue here for local artists to book and do shows in. So they can't grow.
Right.
You know, they can't grow with locally and then expand out. They have to leave. And this keeps our local artists here we have a lot of fantastic. I mean, what's his name?
Khalid.
Khalid. That's the
I knew you were thinking about him.
I was like, Khalid. He's in El Paso. You know, he's a perfect example of someone who could use this facility to grow even further because he's nationally known already. Yeah, he's already nationally known.
Worldly now.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, internationally known. And so now, you know, he can do this here. A bunch of locals can come and he can grow even more locally, you know, because nationally, but locally, he should be able to have a show and have a huge crowd show up, you know. This opens up the door for a lot of things, you know, even, you know, there's a lot of EDM concerts that go on. I'm sure that's going to happen over there. They're going to have, I think, an RV park for the people to park their RVs. I think there's going to be like a hotel thing you can stay in. It's just going to be a real big place for adults. Now, has there been a lot of talk about this in Sunland Park or anything?
Well, I had known about that for a really long time already.
Sure.
You already know.
I already know. You know. I know.
And we had been talking about it for a while. I had overheard a lot of our higher ups talking about it too. And there's a lot of excitement and involvement a little bit. I don't know how much I can say on that, but I do know that they want to get involved in all of that. And people are really excited now that it's out there, you know, and there's talk of trying also, and I don't know if you know this, they wanted to do like a consumption lounge. I don't know how that's going to work, right? Because I had told them like, oh, well, alcohol, cannabis, there can't be too, you know, so I don't know how they're planning on doing all of that, but I'm pretty excited to see what, you know, is in store. We're talking about local artists and stuff like that. A lot of local artists in El Paso get their start, and you were saying we don't have venues and stuff. We used to. El Paso used to be a huge music city.
It did. You're right.
Yeah, we had Tricky Falls. We had all those other venues, and they didn't make it, unfortunately, because little by little the scene was dying. And I was a huge part of the music scene. I don't think I told you that before.
No, you never have.
Yeah. So fun fact about me is I was like super involved. In high school, I used to put shows together at a venue called Mars Hill, and I would go and physically print out copies of like flyers and go to Starbucks, and because those were at the time when we were younger, people would hang out at Starbucks and like the movies, and so hey, come check out this show, you know. And you know, at the time it was really popular. Now we don't have all that. So I really feel like that venue itself is going to bring a load of people from all over, not just El Paso, but from all over, considering that it's going to be so big, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys haven't seen the article, go check it out. But
it's
going
on
to
my
be
stories.
huge. Our stories.
Our stories. Yeah, she shared it.
So I'm pretty excited. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it because I keep telling them, you guys need to find a way to keep the Texans there. This is temporary. What Sunland Park is seeing is temporary until we figure out a way to keep the Texans there and going there. You know, and the people from Juarez and places from other places from Texas. I think this is a great opportunity because it gives them that. It's like, let's go to Independence City while we're in Sunland Park. We'll stay there, get as much weed as we want, and we'll go back. You know, and we get to have fun, hang out, check out this concert that just so happens to be playing at the same time. You know, like, you know, who knows, you know, just anyone famous probably.
And the address, I don't know if you know that, it's 420.
420. Yeah.
Like, so cool, dude.
420
So,
Southern Park
yeah,
Drive, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
And right where it's at, it's like 420 and then state line, boom,
Yeah.
right there.
Actually, part of the parking lot is actually in Texas.
Yeah.
So, like, be careful.
Yes.
Yeah, don't smoke in your car.
No, don't do that at all.
Yeah, just be careful. But yeah, some of the parking lot will be in Texas, but the whole thing itself will be on the New Mexico side. There's no like barrier between how far you have to be from the like actual physical border. You just can't be past it.
Right.
So they're fine. Yeah.
Right. But I will say, and it's not like they're looking for people. There are state troopers that post up in that area. But it's mainly because the border's right there. A lot of people don't know that. The border's literally right there. So you have border patrol units, undercover units, and you also have your state troopers that are also in undercover units.
Yeah.
They post up in the area, but they're really just watching the border wall. They're not really looking for people that are coming out of the dispensary. So you have nothing to worry about there. They're not posted up on the side waiting for you to come out of the dispensary or anything like that.
Binoculars.
They're like, I'm gonna catch you, reefer smoking Satanist. You
Right.
know?
It's like,
It's not like that. I promise you. It's definitely safe, but don't smoke in your car. Don't do none of that. Safest bet, put it in your little zip bag and in your trunk or wherever you can lock it, and don't pull it out until you get home.
And just go from there.
And go from there.
That's great, dude. Well, thank you for sharing that with me with the Southern Park thing. And I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
And let's segue into the next conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
And since I have you here as a bud tender, there's a couple of topics, and I've never done this. I said, what do you want to talk about today?
Let me tell you.
So Tracy gave me a list of a few things. I knew she was going to give me some great topics that would be great to talk about. But I also wanted to get also the bud tender side. Like, what are some things that you see that need to be addressed, kind of thing. And I have a few here, and we could talk about it. And like the first thing that I really saw and I drew to was the terps versus THC thing. I told you we're coming back to this. So yes, so terps and the THC thing. I've been preaching this. I'm gonna kick it till it's a dead horse. THC is a sales gimmick, and it's been like that since they've gone like the adult use route, and even medical days. It was because we didn't know much about cannabis, and we're learning more about it now, especially with the terpenes. We have the Tropicana sulfurs,
right?
With our citrusiness that we thought was just a terp, but no, it's Tropicana sulfur. And then we're finding some other ones too fall under different ones like that too. So we're like, oh well, what else don't we know that we thought was the case? And now we're seeing that if cannabis is grown right, you have a lot of terpenes in it. You still will have THC that's very high, but it's going to be a better overall experience because you have more in there, and it's not just pumping it up for the highest THC possible. Right. And so, what are some things that you can really talk about when it comes to the THC thing? Like, give me your side. Like, what do you run into at the dispensary when it comes to that, or how do you educate people too?
So one thing I did pick up on is like you have to choose your battles. Yeah. That's like the biggest thing, because you got old heads that come in there that are like, I've been smoking since I was whatever. None of this hits me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, challenge accepted,
Yeah.
And they're out here, highest THC. And I'm like, okay, well, can I ask why you ask for like highest THC percentage? Well, because that's what hits me. I'm like, yeah, okay, but have you tried something that's like a lower percentage? Well, no, why would I want to do that? And I'm like, well, you gotta kind of give it a try, you know? What if you find, and this is my selling point, and it's not so much more of a selling point for me, it's more about trying to turn you away from looking at a percentage that's high. Yeah. I usually tell them, okay, well, what if you find something that's 31%? You smoke it and you don't like it, then what?
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
You're going to have to smoke it. You just spent the money on it. You're not going to throw it away, right?
Yeah, no, hell no.
So that kind of gets the wheels turning, right? Like, okay, she's right. What do I do? So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, the nose knows. I'm here and I'm letting you smell these because if you like it here, more than likely, you're going to like it when you smoke it.
Exactly.
And so exactly. I love a dry hit. And that's the other thing. Like, I also encourage, consumption, but journaling consumption.
Okay.
So I'll, touch base on that, and then it kind of intrigues them a little bit. Like, what do you mean journaling consumption? Well, when you smoke, you want to write down the cultivar name, right? Strain name. Right. And I'm trying to get away from the whole strain thing. And people are like, what is a cultivation? I'm like, cultivar. Cultivar.
Cultivar.
I got you. I got you. So for those of you that don't know, cultivar is just a fancier term for strain. So it's the proper term.
A little more accurate. Yeah.
And so I'll go out of my way and let them know, okay, you want to go ahead and write the cultivar name. I know I said that it's not all about percentage, but it is important in your consumption. It is not the main thing, but it is a little bit of a factor, right? So you definitely want to write down what the percentage of THC is underneath your cultivar name. And then if it's got CBD in it, right? So you want to go ahead and put that. Now dry hit it. What do you taste? Is it earthy? Is it gassy? Is it cheesy? What is it? Tell me, what are you tasting? Cool. All right. You already wrote that down. Okay. Now you're going to light it. When you light it, now what are you tasting? Is it the same? Is it different? Like what are you feeling? Then that's when okay, wait, I like this. It's giving me a head change. Or I don't like this. My mouth is getting too dry. Or, you start writing the effects essentially. And I've noticed it's kind of a beautiful full circle moment. I've got a handful of regulars that come in now and they pull out their note cards on their phone and they're like, I liked Papa Perth, or I like this. This one made me feel extra happy. I noticed that I was really giggly. I really want like 3 of these because I need a good day today, or whatever. And that's something that has resonated with me that I've tried to put and instill in others that come through to visit, and I've noticed that it's kind of helped a little bit. I will have, however, some people that will say, oh, I'm not interested in all of that or anything, and it's like, well, okay, well, I'm going to just leave you and I'll write it on the receipt because I'll use keywords right in there. The terpenes, what are terpenes? Okay, your terpenes, I'll write it down for you and let me let you know. And then, a great product that I also like to push because they're very transparent, Higher Cultures, which is out here in Las Cruces. They put their top 3 terpenes on there and what its total terps are testing at. I love that, dude.
Oh, we should make that a thing for everybody.
Oh my God, dude.
Everyone should be doing that.
So I also found out that like Alabastro on some of their rosins is starting to put like the percentage of terps on there and stuff. Guys, we need more of that. If there's one thing that I could do, if I could ask any producer, please add your terp percentage. If you could add your top 3 terps on there, thank you. Like that'll help. That's how I guide people. People come in. I try not to be super nosy, right? I gauge a person a little bit and, well, what is it that you're looking for? Are you trying to alleviate something? Do you have pain? Tell me. Or are you just trying to get happy?
Just trying to party.
Yeah, because there's a difference, right?
100%.
Even if you are still trying to party, I still kind of see it as like, they're just trying to take the edge off of a long day. Let me get something that's high in like, I don't know, beta caryophyllene so that they can relax their mind, their body. It's a pepper terp, And so it's cool. Going back to the Higher Cultures, it'll have the breakdown and I have a visual at that point because I also, and for those of you that don't know, I made a little terpene note card, flashcard situation. It's falling apart, but I've had it since I've started in the industry. Shout out B. Little B was the one that got me started on that. She's actually a huge portion of the reason why I got so heavily involved in the education of cannabis and just really deep diving into terpenes and like really trying to figure out and zone in on certain ones so that when people do come in, when that 80-year-old person comes in and tells me they can't hold something because of their arthritis or most commonly as of lately, people that suffer from epilepsy, or migraines. Like I got a sour diesel right up your alley for that migraine or green crack. Like, let me help you out. And so when they start figuring it out and they ask about the terps and, I start breaking it down, they never realize that this was like a whole other option for them. Yeah. And
opens up a whole new door.
Dude, it's like that pop in their head that's like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's when the light bulb clicks, essentially, it clicks and you're like, oh man, is that why I'm feeling this way? Like, and of course I always mention to people like, because they're always like, well, what's your favorite? Well, I could tell you what my favorite is. I'll show you all day what my favorite is. But my intake is different from yours. Yeah. And I always throw that out there. Like I consume a lot heavier. I understand that my tolerance may be a little bit higher, but I also understand my body. And it's important for you to understand your body. And so let's figure it out together. Let me guide you. What is it that you're feeling today? And what is it that you're trying to alleviate? And boom, bust out the cards and like, all right, you're feeling this. Okay, let me go look. And that's the other thing. My managers already know when we got new flower in stock, where the COAs at.
Yes.
Where the COAs at. I need to see those. And we'll have some downtime. I'll go over there, get those COAs, and I'll start looking into what it is that, it's high terpene testing at. Sometimes we get flower that's not always testing as high, but it's got what it needs in CBG or CBN and a lot of CBC, CBD, like all sorts of stuff, and so I like to stay up to date with what we have in the shop because I know at the end of the day people are coming in whatever it is that they're going through, whether they're in pain or they're just trying to alleviate some sort of stress, or I want to guide you into that direction. My passion, my mission is for you to get what it is that you need and walk out that door happy, knowing that you got what you needed. And then when you come back, and I always tell them, like, come back and let me know what you think. I really want to know, like, your input. They come back and they're like, dude, let me tell you how that worked for me. I needed that. And I'm like, tell me something I don't know. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not always the case. Sometimes people are like, oh, this really didn't hit me the way I needed it to. And it's a trial and error type situation, And so once they tell me it doesn't work for them, then I try to steer it into a different direction. Mm-hmm. But when it does come to terpenes, that's like one of the main things that I try to push out there, just so that people kind of start steering away from the 30% THC, 28, 29. Just get away from that. I mean, I've smoked flower that's 17% THC, and I had to put that joint out halfway through. What is it like when you hit it and then you got to look at it because it just hit you back? You know what I mean? It's one of those.
Or when you take a dry hit and you're already feeling effects because of the terpenes inside of it, because we're finding out terpenes do have effects to them. The whole entourage effect that they're talking about. Yeah, there's times where, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, ooh, like a little slight head change. You're like, this is nice. The aromatic therapy, this kind of thing. It's nice.
Oh, absolutely. So I going back on the terp thing, I always try to push for that. And when people ask, it's just like planting a little mustard seed, of like information that you want to give somebody. And then you're like, okay, when they come back, I know they're going to come look for me and they're going to ask me again. So, and it more often than not, it does happen. And they come over and they're like, hey, can you write that down for me again? And I'll write down, what list I have or what website I get my information on. And side note, make sure to do your research. Don't just go to Leafly or read maps for your information. Please, for God's sakes, don't do that.
Wikipedia or Reddit. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have to go, and at least for me, I look up case studies to back that, and there's a lot of support on Instagram, even though they're like anti-cannabis. We've got like the chemist that does the research. We just reposted that other one, that scientist that had talked about opioids and so that's another thing, and she backed her information through a report. So slowly but surely, the point is that we're getting those reports out there, and so that way we can back our information, and that way we can give that to you all, and it's all free education that we're giving you guys. We're putting in the work for you. And also that we can get you what you need.
And just doing the whole work. And one thing I wanted to add is as a patient, as a customer, you can ask for the COAs yourself. And sometimes they just hand them to you, depending where you go. I know she hands them to me because she knows me.
I'm all here.
She's here chat. I'm like, you know me so well.
I have taught you well.
I was like, Padawan, you know.
Yes.
So, on the conversation of that, what about the other compounds in cannabis and their effects? How do you go about that? The CBD, CBG, CBN, et cetera, et cetera. How do you educate the customer on that? Because, those are important too, on top of, the terpenes too. Just, those other compounds aren't the only thing that you could look at. So how do you educate, people on those terms?
Well, and I've got people that come in, I don't want no CBD in my THC. And I'm like, what? And I get it. There's some stuff that tests nothing in there, and I get it, but I always ask again, why? Why? I want to know. And it's not to come off as a smart aleck or anything like that. I genuinely want to know why you don't want the THC with CBD. And they're just like, oh, it doesn't hit me right, or I don't like the way it feels. And it's like, well, what are you feeling?
Well,
I don't know, I just don't feel higher. You think that's the CBD? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
get it. Like, yeah.
Where is a correlation to this?
Yeah. And so when you start to ask questions, that's like the biggest thing that you can do. You ask questions, and then when you start more or less figuring out that it's just that they're not educated in that sense, right? It's not to say that they're stupid, right? They just don't know.
Yeah.
We were misinformed, and that's not our fault. I mean, cannabis, some people have been smoking it from the streets, dude. People just, hey, can I get that whatever that made me deaf that one day, you know, like, or whatever.
Cryptochronic kilowatt.
Yeah, exactly that. But I start asking questions, and then I'm like, CBD and CBG, CBN, you can't sleep, and you don't want CBD. What is going to relax your mind? I get the THC is going to get you somewhat there, but did you know that they work together?
Mm-hmm.
This is like essential. You need this stuff. It's actually going to be, and I always tell them, get that little oomph, to your THC. You want that stuff in there. And then I start to break it down. Wild is really good about, like, they have a chart of like their gummies and stuff, and what compound is in there, right? Like, so CBN plus THC, and this one here is a sativa or whatever, right? So I'll break it down and I'll let them know, like, CBG, that's a mood booster. It's going to help with arousal. It's going to help relax your mind. With THC, it's going to do this, that. And they're like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you didn't know, but that's why I'm here. Let me help you out.
Yeah.
And like, for example, they just came out with grapefruit flavor, Wild did, and it's got THC, CBC, and CBG in it.
Oh, wow.
Mind you, before this came out, I was taking the pear, which was THC with CBG, and then I was also doing a blood orange on top of that, which was THC with CBC. And I love that for like menstrual cramps, for headaches, any kind of pain. I mean, after a long days of work, my feet get so swollen. I mean, I wear Vans, dude.
Yeah.
Not really the most supportive shoe in the world, but I look cute wearing them. You know what I'm saying? So fashion, beauty is pain. But the point being is that I would take it to help alleviate that pain. And I noticed that it worked a lot for me. And that's another thing. How are you going to educate somebody without trying the product yourself?
Yeah. That's the hard part with people who don't use cannabis and try to sell it.
Yeah. That's the other thing. And I've met people that are in the industry that don't consume, but they sell. And it's kind of like, like how do you...
Where's the correlation?
Like, how do you suggest things? Like, if you yourself don't know how it feels, like, how are you going to explain that to somebody else? Granted, I understand, like we were saying, my high is completely different from everyone else's and vice versa, right? And so... to me, there are others as well that I will add that although they don't consume, they'll learn the product themselves. And so that's cool, at least that. But I do try to like explain everything and have things written down. So on my notebook, I'll have it broken down and I'll try to explain to like the patient or maybe another budtender that's got questions. I can't tell you how many budtenders come up to me and like, hey, I have a question about CBN.
I was going to ask you, how do you educate your coworkers?
So one thing is that I try to never like butt in. I only when they ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, because they don't need help. They got this, but when they ask me for help, when more often than not, they come up to me and they're like, hey, Tracy, can I ask you a question real quick? Yeah, sure. What do you need help with? This gummy, do you know if this, and this? And it's like, oh yeah, this does work, but you want to be careful because it's got melatonin in it. That's the other thing, you want to make sure that you know all your ingredients in your product, and you got to really research because there's people out there that don't want certain things in certain things that they're consuming as far as, edibles or whatever. But yeah, usually when they ask me, I go over there and I try to help them out. And there is a chance that I may be doing like a little bud tender education sometime. We'll see how that goes. Shout out V. But we'll see how that goes. So yeah, usually I just, I offer like, I guess you would say an open Instagram policy. Like I let people know if I'm not there, reach out to me via Instagram and I'll answer any questions that you have. And I do that with my patients as well. I let them follow my page and hey, if you don't know how to consume this, or if maybe you need help with something or you've got questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Dope.
So usually that's how I go about it.
Yeah, that's the best way, just allow people to come to you. You can only do so much, and you're not the boss.
Yeah.
You're not paid to do that.
Yeah.
But, it's good that, you at least offer to help, if they come to ask, which is great. That means that they respect your information and everything that you bring to them, coming to you with those questions, so, it's a reputable source.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And what's really cool is that my higher ups have seen that, and they actually have come up to me and like, hey, we need help with the educational training portion of things. Can you help us out? Hell yeah, I can help you out. Where do I sign up? You know what I mean? So we're kind of in the works of that now, and we're trying to piece together like product knowledge paperwork so that bud tenders can study. And the talk and the idea is that we're going to do weekly tests on product knowledge so that people are up to date with all the products. So that way, we're not giving things to people that they don't need, right? I don't want to give a 90-year-old person that suffers from anxiety a sativa gummy, we need to make sure that they're getting what they need.
100%, because that's the reason why you're there, and I understand some places they just want the person in, they want the person out, hi, how's it going? What do you want? See you next time. It's like, you didn't answer anything. And then I've had people where, bud tenders where I've asked them, well, what's the best product you have that smells good? And I've been told literally that is impossible for me to know that. I would have to smoke everything. And I'm like, well, why haven't you?
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, you can also open the jar
and smell it.
That one don't smell good.
Yeah,
that smells great. It's not hard. It's just certain people feel attacked, with the information that they know sometimes.
Yeah, and there's also, and I hate to say it, but there's just people out there that their intention is just to make money.
Yeah.
And
the Chads and Brads.
Yeah. And that's the reality of it. But I don't see our patients as money signs.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I was a patient. And so everything that I've learned thus far that I'm implementing, that, I'm working towards, has basically been what I would want when I go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be rushed out. I want to be able to look at something and ask questions, and I want to be able to trust the person behind that in what they know.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't just sell me something because you're having a competition and you want to be number one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm number one. No, to me, honestly, that's cool that they have incentives and things like that. We do at work, and it's great. And I partake, we all partake. But again, at the end of the day, I don't look at people as money signs. You come in here, you entrust us to guide you into the right direction. Let me do my job and do that.
Yeah.
I can't speak for other bud tenders that are out in the industry that do see us, as money signs. But my hope is that you would find your passion and your fire like I have and guide people in that direction. Because at least when you go somewhere, I know that you wouldn't want that.
Yeah, 100%. And I hate, experiencing that myself. I used to do reviews back in the day in the medical day, and I still kind of take that when I go into a certain spot, and I'm like, dang, they didn't even ask me how my day was.
You're like, wait a minute.
I was like, man, I'm kind of rude here.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I've walked out. I'm like, all right, well, thank you guys. And I just,
been there.
You don't have to buy anything when you go into a dispensary. You are not required to buy things. And some people have this in their thoughts, some business owners, that when you come into my dispensary, you will buy something. That is not the case. That is the worst way to run a business. You should be happy that customer chose to go to your establishment in the first place. You should be thankful. Thank you for coming here. You're going to spend your money.
That's the reason why you're in business.
Exactly. So some people don't realize that and haven't realized the proper way to run a business yet.
Right.
And so that's when we run into that. So those of you who have experienced that, I'm sorry. There are better experiences out there. Go see Tracy. She does an amazing job. And really make sure that your needs are taken care of. And so on speaking on the dispensary part, etiquette. Let's talk about etiquette.
Okay.
And it's etiquette is actually on both sides, on the patient and the bud tender, and the people that work there. It works both ways. So let's start with the bud tender. What are some etiquettes that you could give the young bud tenders out there? A little tip.
Yeah. So first and foremost, like how I started in the very beginning, whatever you're going throughout the day, make sure to leave that out the door. Do not bring that in to work with you. People, like I said, come in here. Sometimes it's their first time. And if you're having a shitty day, sorry. But if you're having a shitty day, and you project that onto people and it's their first time, they're not going to want to come back to see you, and they're going to tell 10 other people not to go see you as well. So it's about a presence. It's about an atmosphere. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
You know, literally it's a vibe.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because at the end of the transaction, people are always like, man, it's a vibe here. I'm like, I did my job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and so leave all that at the door. Come in, be positive. I mean, you're in the industry. Be happy about it. You know what I mean? If you don't like your job, you know where the door's at, dude.
Yeah,
like,
go do something else.
Yeah. But there's people out there that would love to have your job. People.
I get messages every week of someone, hey, do you know who's hiring?
Dude,
Yeah.
I can't tell you. At least every shift, 3 to maybe 5 people. Hey, are you guys hiring? Hey, are you guys hiring? You know, and it's like, just spam our email. Sorry. we had to stop taking resumes because we would get like about 6 or 7 resumes per day.
Holy crap.
And so it just would sit there, you know.
Yeah.
But
and have to wait till the hiring process happens, which you don't know when that's going to happen.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to make sure that you have a positive attitude and, you know, get yourself right before you get there. That's the main thing, and set yourself up for success, dude. Wherever your station is at, when you get there, if you get there with enough time, make sure you're fully stocked so that you're not running around everywhere trying to where's this, where's that, you know. Get yourself set up to be successful for your shift. Once you're there, you know, greet people as soon as they come in, and then they'll gravitate towards you once they're ready, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, just ask questions. That's literally what I do. I am very personable, you know, and so when people come up like, hey, I have a couple questions. Yeah, sure. And then I'm like, I have a couple questions. You know?
I got some for you too.
Yeah, what is it that you're
Hope
trying
you got some answers.
Yeah, and you can always ask, what is it that you're trying to alleviate, or are you just trying to get high today?
Yeah.
You know, and more often than not, they'll tell you, I'm just trying to get lit. All right, I got something for you. Come on over.
I'm going to a party. I just grab some weed for it, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, you know,
Cool.
the cheaper stuff. I get it.
Yeah, $100 ounce. Say less.
Yeah, here you go. Whole party. All right.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. Then like etiquette on flower. That's like my biggest pet peeve.
Okay.
Biggest pet peeve is we have drams that have the stoppers for a reason. That's like my biggest pet peeve. They open the whole thing and then like, smell this. I'm like, no, what are you doing? It's like literally, if you guys don't know, it starts to dissipate.
Yeah.
Like
Very quickly.
Super fast. Like that weed that smelled like cheesy gassiness now smells like the hay at a goat's farm. Like, no, don't do that. Like, just keep the stopper on there. It's also for sanitary purposes.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know this, but some dispensaries will sample those out to their employees.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want your COVID boogers in there, dude. Like, come on.
And that's a problem I have with deli style. Is it's a sanitation issue. You know, you have people opening the jar, putting it in people's face. Your nose is in there, boogers, skin cells, everything's flying around. And it goes straight into the jar.
So, and the cool thing about us, in case some of you don't know, we just rolled out deli style a couple months back. It's worked out for us, so cool. I will say that. However, I've noticed the flower does get drier a lot faster. I mean, it's bound to happen. Every time
closing,
it just happens, and I mean, you're getting it. You got like a pound of weed in this thing, and it's getting open and closed like almost every day. Like, of course it's gonna happen, but these ones are like, we don't let people smell those. If we do, if they want to smell it, we waft it. So like, you open it and you just kind of do that, and you let them get the whiff of it, and that's about it. Now,
I've seen some places with fans. They have like a little fan, and they just blow it your way. I was like, smart. That's great. That's great.
I'm gonna have to propose that.
Yeah.
Dollar store little fan for that.
Little dollar store fan, just blow it in the face.
Because then more of this is you're letting more out.
Yeah.
So it just kind of does me. Okay, I'm gonna
just a little
note that and real quick, save it for later. But yeah, the dram thing. Please stop opening. Please stop opening it, because then, you know, a lot of times they have to switch out that sample every so often, and like, it needs to like last for a certain amount of time. And so that is one of my biggest ones. And like, your hygiene, dude, like, wash your hands. If you're going to be switching out your gloves every new cultivar, right? Like, don't be using the same gloves that you just touched $100 bill with. Yeah. You know?
You don't know where that $100 bill has been, gone, or going.
Literally. You don't want just a fresh pair of gloves every time, you know? You don't want to be using the same stuff. The other thing, where else do I go? I mean, product knowledge, product knowledge, product knowledge.
Oh,
dude.
yes.
Don't pretend to know what you are selling. If you don't know, go ask somebody. Somebody is willing to help. And if they don't know the answer, it's up to you to get that answer for them. You, like I said, you don't want to give somebody something that's going to give them a negative effect.
Yeah.
Like-
and there's nothing wrong with learning to, that's one thing I learned working at Apple. If we didn't know the answer, we would say, I don't know, let's learn together. And we would go and look it up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Learning together, it's a bonding moment for you and the customer. You could create a forever bond, friendship, whatever from it, or whatever. They could be coming to you for years, and just because of that one interaction, you educated them and yourself.
Yeah. No, really. Like the whole Tropicana sulfur compound thing, that was a study that I had just recently looked into, like last month or the month before last. And it just made so much sense to me. So now I'm like pushing it, and like any Tropicana cherry strain, any strawberry cherry gelato type, anything with cherry in it, I'm like, this is a sulfur compound. This is not a terp. Like, this is awesome. Like, the fact that you can narrow it down, it's a grapefruit citrus smell down to a sweet cherry.
Damn, that is specific.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
and I love the grapefruit smells.
Dude.
I love it. So Tropicana sulfur is my shit.
Same. That's the one thing that I've learned recently, that's what I like about those specific.
Well, since you dug deep into it, is there any medical benefits that come with it too?
I'm still looking into that, to be honest with you. And I was reading up on the research as it being a compound and not the terpene, which I was like super stoked about.
Yeah.
But I want to know it more on like what the medicinal benefit is. So I will touch back with you on that. I definitely want to learn more.
And that makes sense because, some of you know, some of you don't know. I did water curing, some experiments, years ago. And the testing came back with the water curing. Of course, a lot of the water soluble terpenes were out, but there's still quite a bit there. And I'm wondering if that's some other sulfurs, or sulfates, some other compound in there, not even the sulfurs. What other compound it could be and not a terpene?
Right.
So, we're still learning about this plant. We're finding different compounds all the time, or what their effects are too, what they do and the benefits. Same thing with the terpenes, and now like Tropicana sulfur. And, we're finding out other things too. And who knows, maybe beta-caryophyllene, it isn't beta-caryophyllene, maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
We're finding all of this out, and it's a slow process. But, it's great that you go out of your way to do it, and, there is an etiquette and way to go about this. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to touch base, bud tenders out there, please don't shake the jar.
Oh my God, yes.
Don't shake the jar. That's one way to get my eye to twitch forever.
Oh my God, yes. It's the, oh, you want to smell this? Here you go. It's like, no, absolutely not. Please
you will see my eyes just go, oh my God. Like, it's just like you shook a baby.
Yeah. I sometimes stand there and I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm just going to walk away now. I can't
You
say
watch Venture Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think of Brock. It's
Brock moment for sure.
Yeah,
Let me
total
tell
Brock
you.
moment.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Now, let's jump over to the consumer side.
Yes.
Now, as a consumer, we're consumers as well. Even if you work in the industry, most likely go to a dispensary somewhere. What are some etiquettes you can say as a bud tender that you would hope and wish that some other consumers would know?
Please don't get mad at us when we ask you for your ID a second time. That's the first
Really?
First and foremost,
Holy
dude.
shit.
I cannot tell you. I got my bud tender back there shaking his head. He knows what's up over there. See what I'm saying? It's our job, guys. It's our job to check your ID a second time because we've got cameras above us making sure that we're doing our job. Like, I'm not going to get fired because you want to get mad that I'm going to just make sure that your ID matches your profile name. Just please don't get mad. That's the first thing. Second thing, don't come in here with a fake ID, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to catch you. Like, we're specialize in that. Please don't do that. Second thing, when we're showing you stuff, please don't take it out of our hands.
Oh, God.
Please stop doing that.
Yeah.
We can get in trouble for that. And we're trying to give you guys the benefit of the doubt. But there's people out there that will run off with product. Thank God, like for me, knock on wood, wherever it's at, right? Like, it's never happened to me because I've never physically given somebody something unless I know you. Like, here, take a quick look. I know you're blind, but I'm watching you. You know what I mean? Like, but regardless, please don't snatch stuff out of our hand. Know that we're not allowed to physically hand you product. As far as the dram is concerned, like for the sample smell, we also can't let you hold on to that because all it took was one person to hold it and then drop it shortly after.
Yeah.
I can't, please don't get upset for me doing my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And at Top Crop, they have them on strings. So, you know.
And everybody's different. Yeah. So if you have that option and you can pick it up on your own and do that, then by all means do it. We unfortunately do not have that at the shop. We have to physically grab it and put it in your face for you to smell. That's the other thing. I'm gonna have to backtrack. Bud tenders, use gloves, please. Again, just because Charisse over there just put Love Spell lotion, and she went and put the drum in my face, and all I smell is Love Spell. Yeah, I don't smell.
That's happened to me all the time. A few times.
So I mean, if you're hand sanitizing your hands, if you're washing your hands, if you're doing anything with your hands, please just throw some gloves on before you have somebody smell something, because I'm not going to be able to smell the flower. And consumer, don't snag that out of my hands, please. And please don't get mad at me if I don't let you hold on to it. Please. I promise it's nothing against you. It's just my job. I can't allow you to let go or allow you to hold on to any of that.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So what are some other things you can think of?
When I show you an ounce, please don't finger my ounce.
Wait, people do that?
Dude, I had an old head come in there and was like, I need to touch that. I'm like, now you're going to have to buy it, dude. Sorry. He's like, well, how am I supposed to know if the nug is dense or not? I'm like, buy it and find out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, please don't do that, guys. Yeah. I've had to reiterate that numerous times to people when they've come in, because I'm like, oh, no, that can't touch it. Sorry. You know, like, you can look at it, you can smell it. Please don't finger blast my jar. Please, like, that's not it, dude. Like, please don't do that.
Oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Like,
how often does that happen?
It hasn't happened recently.
Okay.
This was a couple months back, and that was an old head that was coming in pretty often. But please just don't do that. Yeah, it was a really awkward moment. I was like, now you're gonna have to buy it. He's like, well, what if I don't want to buy it? I was like, well, you touched it, you heard break it, you buy it, you touch it, you buy it. And at first I was like, well, buy a dinner first, you know? And he laughed because I wanted to make sure we were good. And then I was like, okay, but seriously, you're gonna have to buy the ounce now.
He's like,
yeah, he got serious real quick. That's the other thing. We didn't make him buy it, but we made him feel bad for it, because at that point it's not sellable. Yeah. I had to toss it.
Yeah, it's tainted.
Yeah, so I don't toss it. They have to like do away with it. They have their proper way of like disposing product, which sucks, dude. I've been in that room when they do it, and it's like they put kitty litter and potting soil in a bin, and then they like scoop all the stuff out, like rosins. I've seen like fresh rosins. Like, yeah, dude. It broke my soul when I saw that. I had to like,
I was gonna have to change the law somewhere, because that's ridiculous. That's too much waste and just no reason for it.
I've seen all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, wow. So yeah, please don't do none of that, so that we don't have to get rid of the product like that. Unless you want to buy it.
Yeah. That's crazy that happens. You know, some of these stories I wouldn't even think of in my mind.
It's crazy. Some of the stuff I've experienced is wild. I mean, and if this is the other thing, and this is like aside from cannabis, if there's a sign that says do not enter, please don't enter there. There's a reason it's there.
That too.
Yeah, dude, you'd be so surprised. Like, yeah, I don't know if it's because they don't know how to read, or they're too high and you're not reading. Like,
one of the two, maybe it's both.
Well, and we've had like caution tape like this on like an entrance, and then we put cones behind it, and the dude literally went through the tape and jumped over the caution cones to go do what he needed to do. Yeah, so just follow the rules, guys. That's it. Like, honestly, we're trying to help you guys out. You know, we don't really ask for much. Just give us the same respect. If you're having a rough day, we're trying to help you guys have a better day. Yeah. You know, don't take it out on us. Yeah, you wanna have a little bit of a therapy session, you wanna vent out. Some of us will let you do that. I am one of those, some of those. Some of the other bud tenders will not do that. Yeah. Some of them are not that open to things like that, but just know that we understand sometimes that you have a rough day, but it's up to us to try to get you on the right track, to get your mind right. Yeah. You know? So,
definitely. 100%. Well, thank you for those, you know, because etiquette is very important, you know, and, you know, the cannabis industry has its own. What happens to people that don't follow etiquette? I know you told me somebody have to buy it, you know, do people get kicked out, you know?
Well, I mean, we've had people that have been extra saucy sometimes, and They call people names. They make you feel some type of way. They make you feel uncomfortable. I will say dark matter has been a great place to where you feel uncomfortable. Come back here. We'll have somebody deal with them.
Yeah.
You don't got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to serve nobody. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
I'll go back there. I'll wait till XYZ person is gone, and then I can go back on the floor and do what I need to do. That's a beautiful thing. Now, you disrespect us or you disrespect one of our own, you're not going to be walking into our store again. So just behave. That's
Yeah.
it.
Just be nice. Just buy some weed. Yeah, you're just there to buy some cannabis.
Dude, you'd
Yeah.
be surprised. Some people come out there and they say some racial slurs, and sometimes, yeah, dude, and you want to act like that? Peace out. You don't have to buy with us. You can go down the street to wherever. You know?
Where you bought it the last time.
Yeah, we don't need that sale.
Yeah.
You know, and that's again the beauty of working at that shop. They have been so protective of all of us, you know, and they make sure that we feel comfortable where we're at.
Because that's a big concern of the industry is, you know, the protection and safety of the employee. You know, some places do not give a shit. You know?
Yeah, like we didn't have security for the longest time, and it took a couple of incidents, and now we have security.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Also, stop taking our tip jars. Like, yeah, that hasn't happened recently since we've gotten security, but it had to happen 3 different occasions for it to implement security.
And the thing about I don't get about that is there's cameras everywhere. You're gonna get banned. You're gonna get caught. You know, like what'd you get? $50, $60? You know, like
if that.
Yeah, like
sometimes we're not guaranteed tips.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course. You know, not everybody gives tips. You know, and you know some people are weary of giving tips because of the places that take the tips from the employees.
Oh yeah, they don't do that here.
Thank God.
Everybody gets to keep their own tips, which is a nice little added plus.
Yeah, and that's great. And if you work at a place where you don't get to keep your tips, run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially if it's going in the shady situation that we've seen recently with the headlines and the lawsuits. So yeah, just don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's like we don't want to be a part of that at all. So you know, before we move on to the last one, I wanted to talk about this indica sativa thing. And it's becoming more and more of a conversation. And you run into it all the time as a budtender. I run into it all the time as an advocate, and you know the things that I do, you know, education and looking at science. Recently, Nat Geo, National Geographic, they jumped on that bandwagon and did an article on it just this past week.
Oh wow!
And so they're talking about, is sativa and indica really a thing anymore?
Right.
You know, is it really? And I'm curious about you. You know, it's moving away to where we're getting towards what I'm seeing as more sedative and energetic kind of explanations for the indica sativa, because in reality, indica sativa is really just an explanation of the way the plant grows and the type of plant that it is. And to be honest, they're made up, and they did them incorrectly when they first made up with them. They mixed up the names. I won't get into that. That's another different conversation.
Different topic for different
the whole history on it. But you know, they're made up terms.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they're terms that they use to, you know, try to whatever scientifically, but they messed up. And now what happened is in the industry they used what growers use to tell the difference between a plant for what is sedative and what makes you energetic, when that's not the case with the plants ever. You know, we just use that because it was easier, because at the time that was our understanding. Right. And now that's changing, because, you know, we got the Tropicana sulfurs, you know, we got the fact that terpenes do matter, you know, THC is just a gimmick, you know, we have all these different things. It's like, oh wow, you know, we're gonna have to change it. So, you know, and another thing is a lot of people are talking about edibles. You know, they have edibles as hybrid indica sativa. Everything now is a hybrid. If you take a landrace, an official real landrace, it's very rare, and you mix it with another landrace from somewhere else, that is now a hybrid. That is no longer a landrace. So real landraces are very rare to run into. And everything now is so hybridized. And so someone mentioned this earlier today in another post, polyhybridized, you know, just several, and you know, not just that, you know, they're inbred, they're bastardized, you know, all this stuff. And you know, it's not the plant that it started out as a landrace. It's something totally different. So we're gonna have to get away from that, because everything's a hybrid. Right. You know, what is your experience, you know, trying to, I wouldn't say educate the customer, but also get them to understand that this is changing?
It's so hard, Chad, for like to break that.
I bet.
People are so stuck in that way, just like high THC percentage. The only difference is that I've managed to like use keywords to kind of stray away from the high THC thing. I'm still working on like, hey, everything's a hybrid. Yeah. And again, verbiage is huge. A lot of people don't know, like, land races are original cultivars, for those of you that don't know. Yeah. And people are like, well, what? They're original strains. Like, what is that? Like, the original green crack, the original Afghan, what, you know what I mean? Like things that were land races that created other plants. Those essentially are all hybrids. And people are like, well, how is it that like I asked for a sativa and I got really sleepy? I'm like, hello, hybrid. Like
hybrid life.
yeah, like distillates, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest examples when I'm describing distillates, resins, and rosins is like anything artificially flavored is a distillate,
Yeah.
period. That is a hybrid as well,
Yeah.
period. Yeah, the bag says sativa. Yeah, the bag says indica. Okay, because that may lean more towards one, but it again breaks down to what your intake is, how you intake it, and how you're receptive to the plant.
Yeah.
It
And in
varies.
these days, it's usually some person in the back or somewhere trying it. This made me sleepy. Okay, it's an indica.
Yeah.
And that's how they go about it. It's nothing with the lineage of the plant. Like I've had plants that grow like an indica, you know,
Right.
big old leaves and everything, but it goes to flower, pin leaves, you know, it goes really thin.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I'm like, well, I thought it was an indica, but now it's not really looking like it.
Right.
So it was a hybrid.
Right.
You know, it was a very hybrid plant, a very good plant, very high in terpenes. I loved it. Nothing wrong with it. However, it was a hybrid.
Right.
You know, so, you know, that's one thing that we have to keep in mind is that we have just crossed so much
Mhm.
that there is no more regular sativa, regular indica. You know, it may have, as it's growing, well, it appears to have indica leaves. You
Right.
know, that's what you can really just see physically what it is and what it does.
Based off of.
Yeah, what
right?
it's based off of. So I think the real reason why we're moving away from this is because of the edibles
Mhm.
and because of the extracts and the distillates and stuff, because it is confusing.
Mhm.
You know, you have the indica sativa hybrid, but it's like, well, now they're telling me everything's a hybrid. So how are we going to separate this? So now it's like, okay, we're going to have to do this with everything now
Mhm.
because we were just using a blanket term, you know,
Right.
but we've learned more and
Right.
more has come out about cannabis.
And it's crazy because I don't know if you remember. I'm pretty sure you remember. We're coming back from one of the town halls and we had stopped at Enchanted.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I had wanted to try their lemon skunk for the longest time because it's marked as a sativa,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I am a sativa girly. I like a good upper. And I was Chad's co-pilot for the ride and I needed to stay awake for it. So I lit the joint, we light it, we're smoking and having a good time, hee hee ha ha. When it's done, I fell asleep. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did.
Dude,
yeah, dude.
I could not stay awake and I was like, this was supposed to be a sativa. That was the day that I learned, yeah, no, nothing is a true sativa. Nothing is a true indica. Like it's a hybrid. And again, it just varies on how your body is receptive to certain terpenes, certain percentages, certain whatever, right? Like for me, it has linalool in it.
Yeah.
And linalool, for those that don't know, is commonly found in lavender. So that relaxed me to the max and I knocked out, dude. And
You
it
were out like most of the ride.
yeah.
dude.
I woke up, I was like, what year is it?
Like I was like, man, Tracy's really quiet.
Minus the snoring. But anyway.
Fair.
But yeah, I really do try to let people know that it's gonna be a hybrid all the way through.
Yeah.
Just like distillates, you're gonna have that feeling of I'm a little too awake on this indica or I'm a little too sleepy on this sativa, right? That's initially because it's all a hybrid all the way through. And the more we're accepting of that, the more we can kind of like get away from that. So what I'm doing when I ask my patients when they come in, are you looking for something more energetic? Or are you looking for something to help you relax and wind down for the end of the day? Or you can't sleep? Like, let me know what it is that you're feeling. This is where I'm saying, like, you're not trying to pry, but you're asking questions because this is how it's going to guide you into finding the right product for that patient.
Yeah, 100%. Because, you know, like you said, you know, they could take that sativa home and just knock the fuck out. And, you know, some of these people rely on that knowledge and verbiage to keep them awake. Like, I need this to stay awake. And if they don't have the right one, they're going to pass out. And I don't know, you know, like maybe they're using it to stay awake for whatever reason and it screws them over somehow. And
that's why it's important to have the terpenes, right?
Yes.
Like terpenes are so crucial. I mean, Matchbox Farms is really good about putting on their pre-rolls
They
now.
are, yeah, they are.
So that's really cool. I go based off of that. I love higher cultures. Wilds are great because they have all of that. Actually, no, not the terps. They have the compounds.
The compounds.
Yeah, cannabis compounds. But if there's one thing I could encourage other like producers and stuff, please go that route.
Yeah.
Like include that because then we can not only push your product, but like find what's right for people.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not about the THC. You know, we've
Not at all.
that's been debunked already. You know, like it's something that'll be take a while for the whole industry to catch up. But you know, the more we push it, the more it's going to happen. You know, just like this indica sativa thing. I've been on this kick actually for almost a decade.
I know you have.
Yeah, like I've been on this for a while. It's just this has been something that has not wanted to change.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people were just really fighting it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But it's up to us. It's up to us to continue to get that education on like what's behind it, the studies and all of that. I mean, things that's gonna back up what we believe already or what we already know.
Yeah.
That way we can, hey, science proved it already.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a lot of pseudoscience out there. You know, and it's floating around everywhere. So do your due diligence, look at the studies. Don't believe every study. And, you know, we'll segue into this next one, actually. We'll be done with this conversation. This one is about a study. So when you look at studies, make sure you look at who funded it, how it was done, you know, et cetera, the whole 9 yards, because that'll give you an idea. And sometimes in the studies, they'll say, yeah, there's some inconsistencies because of this.
Right.
And sometimes they're very transparent. Like there's no reason for you to say, oh, this is trash. At least read it.
No.
They're scientists. They're not there to make your feelings better. They're there to figure out if this is true or not. It's binary, yes or no. So this next one we'll talk about, and I'm sure some of you have heard about it, some of you have not. I've heard about it. People keep reaching to me out about it, and you know, other people have just been posting it. The study is about smoking cannabis giving you head and neck cancer, or you being more susceptible to it. Now, some of you right there are probably gawking at me even saying that. I want to mention the fact that this is just for smoking only. They didn't test edibles or anything else. So this is just for smoke. This isn't even for vape. This is for actually smoking flower only. Now, what they did is they took a bunch of data. They took a bunch of medical records and they analyzed them. They took the data from it. Now, that's where my first issue with this study is. They just took data, and with the data, it can be skewed a lot for whatever reason. You know, and it just wasn't put down right. They didn't get the right thing in, or they didn't test it right. So that's my issue, because we don't know if these people were just cannabis users or they were alcohol and tobacco users. Now, these two are known both. There's confirmed studies that alcohol and tobacco will give you an increase by 5-fold, or if not more, for head and neck cancer.
Right.
And if you couple it with this, they're saying now it increases it more. So I wanted to add that caveat in there too, that, you know, cannabis isn't singled out. You know, they did mention alcohol and tobacco in this, and that, you know, you're already at risk if you're using that already. So if you use cannabis and tobacco, they're saying that, you know, you're at more of a risk. Now, it's only about 4%, I think, of cancer patients are head and neck. So it's not like it's a wide cancer, but at the same time, it's a little alarming. I did my due diligence this week, and I was looking at, you know, how many people actually smoke in the United States. But I wanted to look at the 90s, because in the 90s, that's when we really started to attack smoking, made it the fucking devil. And to this day, we're still dealing with that. You know, and don't get me wrong, you know, the people did need to cut back on smoking. Because, you know, in the 50s, I think it was at 41% or something like that of people were smoking tobacco. The 90s, there was about 48 million people smoking tobacco in the early 90s. A study just came out today. Unfortunately, I didn't have it the other day when I was looking up this info, but luckily it came out today. We're at 11% of people smoking tobacco here in the nation, which is great. It's about 26 million. But it's still a lot of people. That's about the size of Texas, you know, population-wise. And so that's a lot of people. However, on top of that, the younger generation is vaping more. So they're at about 18%. So it bumps it back up. So, you know, we're still at these high numbers. And, you know, it's unfortunate that vaping was, I guess, jumped the gun on saying it was a healthy alternative, because we found out that that wasn't the case.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, 100%.
Like one of those things can equal like 7 or 8 packs.
Yeah.
Dude.
I think I saw somebody that had a meme.
Maybe.
I saw a meme, and someone had one in Europe, and it said, this one cartridge is equivalent to 10 packs of cigarettes. I was like, oh, that's rough. You might as well just smoke the pack of cigarettes at that point.
Slow it down.
Slow down a little bit, buddy. So, back to the study and everything. Now, this study, you know, it was done through documentation. They do say that in the study, the people that did it, says there's a lot of inconsistencies in the past with studies when it pertains to cannabis and neck cancer. You know, this might be a similar case with the way that they did it, but there's just too many inconsistencies. They said it themselves. They said in this study that there's going to have to be more studies to confirm this. So they're not saying that this is for sure.
Right.
You know, they're saying that this is what we found. However, we have correlations with it, but that doesn't mean it's concrete. We're gonna have to study this more before we confirm it. And the scientists are even like, yeah, we see the data, we see this, but we can't confirm it.
Right.
So that's great to hear. So don't freak out and, you know, start throwing, you know, throwing your cannabis stuff away.
No.
And another caveat I must add in there, this is people who are heavy cannabis users, you know, not the, you know, every now and then users, you know, once a day user. This is for the people, you know, smoking ounces a day or something like that. You know, the people who are just chronically using cannabis. So those are the kind of people that this study is also talking about. So it's, to me, I'm not going to say it's a bunk study, but it's something that we need to think about, because every doctor I've talked to has told me smoking anything isn't good for you. And I'm like, okay, that's fair, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have the black stuff that people talk about coughing up. I've done it too. And it kind of made me question it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of thinking, well, you know, a lot of people have stopped smoking tobacco. You know, we've seen that. You know, there's always going to be people smoking something. Now, we're probably going to see that with cannabis. People smoking less of it in about 15, 20 years. And I think drinks will probably start to take over. And this is the reason why is it's less offensive. The Karens can't say anything about it. And if you're drinking, most likely someone else is drinking something in front of you. And the best part is, if you're at a concert, no one's going to ask you to drink your cannabis drink.
Yeah, no, yeah.
If they do, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know, and so you won't have someone mooching off you the whole time. Because every time I go to a concert and I'm smoking, you got 5 people wanting to smoke off
that real quick.
Yeah, I'm like, take your own, dude. What the hell? Go to the dispensary before.
What the heck?
Yeah, or put it in your hair like some other people I know.
Okay, call me out. It was one time.
Wasn't saying no name.
Yeah, no.
So, you know, what is your kind of thoughts on this study so far?
I mean, it's a little scary, right? Because I mean, I know I said that I started smoking when I was 20, but I haven't really stopped.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Until that one incident where I had to for like a year.
Yeah.
But that wasn't by choice, you know?
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I feel like I would have to see more study behind it. I feel like they should do like a newer study, not just based off of data that they've had from the 90s, which, right, this was like also during the time where smoking or non-smoking.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, come on, dude.
The only thing that's separating you is a curtain, if that.
I'm still true because I'm getting the secondhand smoke. I mean, my dad used to go bowling every Thursday night when people were still smoking in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So I was exposed to it every Thursday night. You know what I mean? So I feel like secondhand is also just as bad. So I feel like they need more like data information to go ahead and do more studies on it. I don't feel like I should be super scared about it because I don't go out of my way to smoke backwoods or tobacco, anything with my
It's
flower.
been too inconsistent.
Yeah, that too. And I mean, I'll roll a joint or two, a couple bong rips, you know, or, you know, from the pipe or whatever, but I don't go out of my way for a backwoods or anything like that. I'm a girly that suffers from asthma, so all that stuff is very like triggering for me.
Yeah.
You know, you see me wheezing in a way over there.
Yeah, you took a big hit of a joint and you're like,
oh my God. I was like, I gotta go sit down real quick, you know? But I need to see more. You know what I mean? I feel like with more information, more study, more proof, then I'll have more of like a say on like how I feel about certain things. But I will say it is a little scary. Yeah. Because again, doctors have said it's not good, period, to smoke. That's a lot of the reason too, also that I don't smoke cartridges and stuff, disposables. I've also been fortunate enough in the last place we used to work at to see stuff be made, and I got to ask the engineers behind all of that, like, hey, I got a couple questions since I'm here. Like, why is it this, and the third, you know? And it kind of makes sense. Like, some of these units are made with metals. Yeah. And you have these kids out here hitting blinkers, and they're like, whoa, the head changed. Well, little buddy, that's not THC head change. Yeah. You're smoking metals.
Yeah. Like, it's like, it might be mercury.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I also do away from, like, smoking cartridges or disposables, unless I absolutely have to, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I choose like a rosin or resin versus a distillate, right?
Yes,
so, but yeah, I would like to see a little more study, just more or less, like for those, especially like us that don't really smoke heavily like that. Like, I mean, I do smoke heavy, but not like that, you know, ounces a day and stuff. I couldn't.
And to let you guys know, a pack of cigarettes is about equivalent to an ounce of cannabis. You know, it's rolled up and packed in. So, it weighs about an ounce of cannabis. It's about the same. So, you know, you'd essentially, if you smoke an ounce of weed a day, it's like a pack a day in smoke.
Wow.
I don't smoke an ounce a day.
No.
I can tell you that right
I
now.
can't afford that.
Yeah,
I'm not hold that. I'm not hold that.
Yeah, I can't afford to smoke an ounce a day. I am not Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah. No, literally, I'm not Snoop Dogg or Wiz. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. So, you know, that's one thing that I did look up a while back is, you know, how much is in there? It's about an ounce. So, you know, that's one thing to keep in mind. You know, if you are smoking an ounce a day, it's about a pack of cigarettes. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. And in smoke, you know, like this isn't for anything else. Like I said, the study was just for smoking cannabis only, and also smoking tobacco only. It was drinking alcohol, but you know, you can't really smoke alcohol. They had a thing where you were vaping alcohol for a little bit though. Do you remember that?
I feel like I do.
It was like maybe
that.
a 2-year period, and I think
so weird.
Yeah, it was really short, and I think because people probably died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really dangerous.
All the fumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No, thank you. But anyway, drinking. Yeah, you're going to drink alcohol, but that's what the studies are talking about. And I just wanted to bring it up and kind of break it down. I've already seen some sites already kind of break it down and give the inconsistencies of the study. And, you know, they went back and kind of did quotes, or not did quote, they gave quotes from the people that were part of the study, you know, giving these caveats like, yeah, you know, there's a lot of inconsistencies. We get it. And, you know, we need more studies. And so I was like, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, you know, we're kind of trying to backpedal on what we did in the 90s. And so it's kind of kicking us in the ass right now with, you know, the stigma just a little. So that doesn't help. But, you know, with that being said, that's actually all I have for today's episode. And it was a little bit longer, but I had Tracy on and
we talk
a little bit, and there's a lot of stuff that we wanted to cover. But thank you guys so much for showing up to watch the show. And thank you so much to my sponsors, Monster House, where I'm at right now. Thank you guys so much. Cinder Cannabis and Turquoise Bloom. Thank you guys so much. And I will see y'all next week. Thank y'all so much, and have a good week. Shoot.
Yeah. Bye.